You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kelvin, and with me today, we've got Amy, Mark, and Christos. Christos, how are you doing this week?
I'm well, thank you. I'm toasting a special episode with my very expensive special Star Trek champagne flute.
Wow, that looks beautiful. It looks expensive as well.
Oh, it was. I rarely use it, but you should feel very honored.
We are indeed. And Amy, you're back with us. How have you been this week?
I have been doing great. You know, we got our mission orders from Star Trek The Cruise. Very excited. There's a lot of themed parties.
Got any exciting themes?
Well, one that I'm looking forward to is Mutiny on the Holodeck. Lots of pirate themes.
Ooh, nice. Oh, I can't wait for that one. And Mark, I see you have a little visitor there with you today.
Yes, I'm joined by Murphy today, my handsome old man.
Oh, is this the first for All Good Things, or has Murphy been on before?
I think that it's his premiere.
Ooh. Okay, listeners. Well, we have a very special episode planned today. Oh, right. Okay. Never worked with children or animals, I guess. Mark, maybe you could mute Murphy or place him in the next room or something.
Sure, sorry about that, guys.
Oh no, Christos, what's happened?
I don't believe it. I knocked it over and smashed my glass. I'm devastated.
We need to get back on track now. Kelvin, are you on mute? Oh no, listeners, we seem to have lost our host to technical issues.
Calvin, maybe try changing your audio settings and trying again.
Yeah, Kelvin, I recommend resetting the router and try to rejoin us. We can always edit it out.
You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kelvin, and with me today, it's Amy, Mark, and Christos. Christos, how the devil are you this week?
I'm well, thank you. I'm toasting this very special with my very expensive Star Trek champagne flute.
Oh, wow, that looks beautiful and, yes, expensive, but rather brittle as well, so you be careful with that.
Yeah, it was expensive. I don't use it all too much, so you should feel very honored.
Don't worry, I am. Maybe you should move it over there a little bit so it's out of arm's reach. And Amy, you're back with us. How have you been this week?
Oh, well, it has been just wonderful. I got the mission orders for our Star Trek cruise. I'm getting excited.
Ooh, have we got any exciting themes?
Yes, there's one Mutiny on the Holodeck night. Looks, intriguing. Lots of pirate themes.
Wasn't that a theme on the last cruise?
I think that was Nights on the Holodeck.
I could have swore we've done pirates before. And Mark, I see you've got a little visitor with you today.
Yes, I'm joined by Murphy today, my handsome old man.
Oh, is this a first for All Good Things, or has Murphy been on before?
No, it's his premiere. I think he's... Wait, I think he's been on before. No, I can't remember. You guys know my memory's not so good.
Mark, maybe put him in the other room in case it gets noisy and barks.
Oh, he won't. He's a good boy.
Oh, okay, listeners. We have a very special episode planned today. Oh, right. Okay. Well, never worked with children or animals, I guess. Maybe, Mark, maybe you could place him in the room next door.
I told you. I just had a feeling that would happen.
Whoops. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, Christos. What's happened?
I don't believe it. I knocked over and smashed my glass. Devastated.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would happen too.
We need to get back on track now. Kelvin, are you on mute? Oh no, listeners, we seem to have lost our host to technical issues.
Kelvin, maybe try changing your audio settings and trying again.
Yeah, reset your router and try rejoining. We can always edit.
You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN and Fandom Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kelvin, and with me today, it's Amy, Mark, and Christos. Christos, how the devil are you this week?
I'm well, thank you. I'm toasting this very special with my very expensive Star Trek champagne flute.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful. Looks expensive and brittle too, so be careful with that.
It was expensive. I don't use it too much, so you should feel pretty honored.
Indeed we are. And Amy, you're back with us. How have you been this week?
Yes, I'm doing well. I'm very excited. Got the mission orders to our Star Trek cruise. Looking forward. There's some themed nights going on.
Oh, any exciting themes?
Well, one I'm looking forward to is Mutiny on the Holodeck. So lots of pirate themes, which I think we've done, haven't we?
No, I think it's a first.
I'm sure I already have an outfit for this.
And Mark, I see you've got a little visitor with you today.
Yes, I'm joined by Murphy today, my handsome little man. But he's only saying a quick hello, as I have visions of him barking and possibly ruining the show. So I'm just going to put him away.
Oh, hi, Murphy. Well, listeners, we have a very special episode planned today. And
sorry, guys. I knew that would happen.
Never work with children or animals, hey?
Hey, I was about to say that.
Shit.
Oh no, Christos, what's happened?
I don't believe it. I knocked over and smashed my glass. Damn it. I'm devastated.
Well, this is going well so far. We need to get back on track now. Kelvin, are you on mute? Oh no, listeners, we seem to have lost our host to technical issues.
Kelvin, maybe try changing your audio settings and trying again.
Yeah, reset your router and try rejoining. We can always edit it.
Great suggestion, Mark. You know, I was going to reset my router like Christos just said, but I had a feeling at the last minute it just wasn't going to work. So I changed my mind, Mark, and went for your suggestion.
Well, let's get on with the show. What is the topic today, if you haven't guessed?
Listeners, today our topic is a very special episode. As I said, we're going to our host pick, which is me, and we're covering my very, very favorite Star Trek episode, not only of TNG, but forever. And it's Cause and Effect, where the Enterprise is in the temporal causality loop. So, apologies to listeners if we've caused some confusion. Guys, well done. A-star effort for all of your acting. The Emmy nomination is in the post.
Just cast me in Star Trek Legacy now.
Oh, that was so much fun. And I'm so curious to know what the listeners thought of that as we went through.
Kudos to Kelvin, listeners. He wrote all of that. That's a lot of effort for hosting a show.
It is. Now, Kelvin, this is your host choice because we have a special anniversary to celebrate with you. Is that why the champagne flutes are out?
That's where the champagne flute idea came from. So, full disclosure to the listeners, Christos hasn't sacrificed his champagne flute for me.
3 times.
Yeah, 3 times indeed. It's my 1-year anniversary on All Good Things. So this time last year, I believe I actually joined on Christos's host's pick for The Chase. That was my first episode.
Was that a year ago already?
God.
I felt like we just did that episode.
I know, we just discussed that.
Okay, guys, we're not doing the deja vu bit now. We can stop.
That's legit.
Well, Kelvin, it has been an absolute pleasure podcasting with you this year. It feels like longer. Just so glad that you have joined us here on All Good Things.
I couldn't think of a better way to spend my Sunday. So on to business, cause and effect. I class Cause and Effect as a perfect TNG episode. I think it's brilliant sci-fi. It's time travel, which is classic time sci-fi without it being so in your face. It's an interesting time travel episode. But also, I just want to start with a kind of a behind the scenes kind of why it also takes its place as the best for me, because it's my favorite writer and my favorite director. So this is a Brannon Braga written episode directed by Jonathan Frakes. So before we even get started, that's pretty close to perfection already. What are some of your initial impressions of Cause and Effect as an episode? Mark, what do you think?
I love the fact that everybody has something to do and everybody contributes to solving the mystery. I would say that maybe Deanna Troi has the least amount to do, and I'm wondering if maybe she had a scheduled vacation or she was having a baby, or I don't know what was happening, but she was in a minute of the episode total, and I don't think she had any dialogue, or she said like great joy and gratitude and she was done. I don't know.
Well,
it was it,
you know,
in and out.
Tony, I had the same thought, Mark, rewatching it yesterday. I'm like, oh, Deanna's only in the conference room and the bridge sets, but they probably spent days filming those scenes over and over again and from every angle. But she
should have had the premonitions, though. I think that part was written for her, because why would she not hear the voices and Dr. Crusher would? That makes no sense.
Okay, so I was thinking about that this go around, but when Picard asked Troy, well, do you sense anything? And she's like, no, that's because she is so familiar with the voices on the ship that even an echo wouldn't stand out to her because those are familiar to her. I did think that, and she does have the least amount of things to do.
Would also kind of have messed up the poker game a little bit if she was there, because she would have sensed that people are feeling a bit discombobulated and not themselves. So she would have affected the dialogue by saying, Beverly, are you okay? You seem very distracted. My favorite Deanna moment, I mean, there's not a huge amount to choose from, but the bit on the bridge where she just says, we have to get out of here now.
Yeah.
Hence your dialogue in that the play.
So that's a weird part to me. We're just jumping all over the place, but I love it, because what is she sensing that would tell her to get out of there? Danger? She doesn't sense like physical danger. She senses emotions. Mm-hmm. So the ship coming through is a physical thing happening. But
So
yeah,
is she having an empathic moment, or is she just having the same level of deja vu that everybody's having, and she sounds like Saru. She feels the coming of death.
She
You know,
doesn't well, when she says we need to get out of there, the Bozeman hasn't come through yet. So the only thing I feel that she's sensing is that the temporal anomaly, allowed them to, that's what they were sensing, that she was feeling a presence from that anomaly.
she's feeling Frasier.
Right. She was sensing the
Frasier.
Bozeman.
Frasier. Yeah. Well, do you know who's working overtime on this episode? It's Beverly Crusher and Gates
Mhm.
McFadden. I think Gates is pretty much in every scene almost, maybe save for one or two when Picard's reading by himself or something like that. But pretty much she's in every scene. So I've always loved this episode because I always think of this as a Beverly episode. And kind of is.
It's not a Troy episode.
Every scene is from Beverly's perspective, and you get Beverly's reaction to everything that happens. And you're right, Christos. I think the only scene she's not in is where Picard is actually the one pass through the causality loop where you see Picard
toward the end,
reading his book. But every other scene she's in. So I call this the forgotten Beverly episode because it seems like an ensemble episode, but it's really not. Everything's from Beverly's perspective.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to throw in something I was going to put in trivia, but it's perfect right here since you have this. I remember getting the very, 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 very first Playmates Beverly Crusher action figure. And you remember everyone had those little card that came on the card backs, and they had the little cutouts. You could have their little character cards, and they all had a distinguished service notation. But for Beverly's, her distinguished service notation, stardate 45662.1, says Dr. Beverly Crusher's intuitive sense alerts her to strange time loop phenomena, which threatens the USS Enterprise. Aptly using her diagnostic skills, she's able to prove through a card game that the USS Enterprise was indeed trapped in a time loop. So I guess either A, it's sad that there wasn't something better to put on the back of Beverly's card, or B, it was well recognized way back then that it's a Beverly episode.
I think the time that those Playmates figures were first released was during season 5. So the more kind of Beverly moments of suspicions, dare I say it, the ghost candle. It's not going to put fucks a ghost on the back of the action figure, let's face it. But like taking command, none of that had happened by the time the figures came out. But I'm surprised they didn't go for Remember Me. That would have been more of a
the obvious one,
How do you feel, Christos, in terms of, because you could argue that Data saves the day because he's the one that spots the number 3, changes the decompresses the shuttle bay, blah blah blah. But would we have got to where we got to without Beverly's?
The biggest thing Beverly plays is recording the sounds. That's the voices. That's the key to having how they solve the problem.
Yeah,
it's teamwork. Like we said, it's a teamwork episode. It's definitely a teamwork.
Absolutely. Any other standout moments from the episode? Amy, what are you thinking?
Well, I wanted to go back and discuss Brannon Braga and Jonathan Frakes because what an episode. I'd never seen anything like this before on any TV. I mean, Quantum Leap, you sort of get that, but that's the premise of the show. It was interesting, Christos, you shared a, I don't know, YouTube clip or whatever.
With an article,
an article about Brannon Braga discussing this episode and how when he got letters after it aired of all these panicked people like writing to their shows, ABC, NBC, whatever it was playing on, and it's broken. What did you do? We need to see the whole episode. It kept repeating. And how just sort of this flash of genius that he had. But there were struggles to try and get it through, even with the actors, that it's like, this is the same line of dialogue. I'm saying this 4 different times. What's going on? I just found that very interesting, sort of the the whiplash that came sort of before and after the idea.
Do any of you remember your first time seeing this episode? Did you feel the same, that what the hell's going on? Did anyone think it was broken, or?
Well, I would say I think I was in the 9th grade or something when this came out. I knew obviously that the TV wasn't broken. I just remember loving the episode. I thought it was really cool. It was like, this is when TNG was really arguably hitting at its best, season 4, season 5, season 6, and they were writing good sci-fi. I think I've also mentioned this on the show, but I like this episode so much that I was in 10th grade, because I was in 10th grade honors English lit, and I wrote an essay about this episode, and I was about to get kicked out of that class because I went from being in 9th grade doing great in regular English to being like, oh, you're doing so good in English, we're going to put you in honors next year. And I got into honors and I wasn't doing so great. But then I wrote this essay about this episode and I got an A on the paper, and suddenly my teacher loved me because I think I found out she was a Trekkie, and that kind of like saved me getting through that class and not ruining my GPA. But I don't even know if I still have that essay somewhere. I think I do. I think it's at my mom's house.
When I saw it, of course, you're in Star Trek. We're season 5, so we know it's something sci-fi. But man, that cold open, I was shocked. Like, that startled me. So watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, how is this going to happen? And then to see it over and over again, blowing up my Enterprise D, that's a character on the show. Like, don't be killing off the Enterprise D. So that was most shocking to me.
I thinking back and looking at this through the lens of a child, I loved this episode just because a lot of the secondary characters were present and had things to do. But like, just having Ensign Rowe on duty as the pilot without it being an Ensign Rowe episode, she was literally just working that day. And to me, that as a kid, that's all of your toys out of the box. That's using everyone. Yes, I know unfortunately there was no Nurse Ogawa action figure. Damn you, Playmates. But I just love that. And I think if only Chief O'Brien was in the episode, that would have been like, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
That would have had everyone.
Isn't Lieutenant J next to Geordi on the bridge too in this episode?
Oh, well, probably.
Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much in every episode. But I just thought there was a lot of deep cuts in this one. But yeah, I noticed that too. It's like, oh, like everyone's kind of in this episode.
Yeah.
Going back to what Amy was saying too about this, the way they kept on doing it over and over again, it was probably a really fun episode to make, because I'm sure when they shot it, like for example, they probably did all the card game scenes, all different versions of it back to back. They didn't film it out of order, right? So it was probably, can you imagine being on that set at that card table all day, Gates and Brent and Michael Dorn and Frakes, they probably were having a really good time just because they were like just really hanging out for the whole day.
I hope they had comfy chairs. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit in those chairs like all day.
I mean, and remember, it's a tour de force, I think, for Jonathan Frakes, because he's acting and directing. So, and to hear him talk about, oh, well, we had to, film it from different angles to keep it interesting because it was the same dialogue. So to hear him talk about him directing, but then I was thinking like, yeah, that poker, that's a scene that he is in. And the way that like focuses on the face, that final time when they thought they would see the cards, but it was all threes, like that was so impactful. Or like when Beverly hears, when we hear the crash, but we're in engineering and we hear it. And just how he frames it was brilliant.
And as the audience, we know it's kind of like that Final Destination type thing. Certain things are like bound, no matter what, they're going to happen one way or another. I just thought that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Frakes is in the bridge scenes, the conference room scenes, and the card game. So that's a good 70-80% of the episode. I think the only other major scenes are the sick bay scenes and Beverly's quarters.
Mm-hmm. And it's easy for us to talk about Jonathan Frakes as being a fabulous director that we know him to be, but this was only 2 years after The Offspring, his first ever director's job. I don't have my list, and behind the scenes trivia is my weakness, so I don't know how many he directed before Cause and Effect. But what a challenge for any director to say, you're going to shoot these scenes 4 times, but you need to do them identically but slightly different.
Yeah, get different angles, different. Yeah. Let's talk about like how things had come a long way. I mean, just 2.5 years prior, we were looking at Shades of Grey, and now and how much the show rose in quality in that time.
Ooh, good point.
Yeah, season 5 is very much my sweet spot for TNG. It's my favorite season with my favorite episode. So I always forget as well, with this episode being so amazing, that the end moment where the Bozeman comes through and they answer the hail and it's Kelsey Grammer, like a really big guest star. It's almost like, wow, you forget that Kelsey Grammer's in this episode because it's so good in itself that it's just one final big sucker punch of wow at the end.
It is a little too bad that they kind of wasted the cameo though, because he would be a great guest on Trek, but they had him in this episode, they had him for like 30 seconds and he's done. And it just seemed like, I don't know, to me it seemed like kind of a waste.
Yeah.
Well, first off, one thing I noticed, like they it's ruined because we've seen it a million times, but they actually give him he's in the opening credit as a guest star, so he's coming if you're paying attention. I noticed that for the first time last night, and didn't this come from the fact that like Cheers and Star Trek: The Next Generation shot side by side at Paramount, and it was really easy to get him over. I would have loved. I know it happens in a book, but I would have loved to have seen getting him back as a follow-up episode. That would be really cool to explore on screen. Okay, but you've had a year of catch up on history and technical stuff, and now you're a captain again out on a new ship or something. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, they already have it in continuity in Trek that time travel can happen and you slingshot around the sun and blah, 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 blah. They could have sent him back. I don't know.
Temporal Prime Directive.
No, but he would have always been missing. Sending him back would fundamentally change history. The Bozeman would have effectively gone missing and had considered lost for 80 years or whatever it was. If you sent him back so that they didn't go through the time causality loop, that would start a whole nother timeline.
All this space travel talk or time travel talk, I don't know.
I know. I just watched Voyager's Relativity. You're having that Janeway moment. Don't talk to me about time travel.
It makes my head hurt.
It makes my head hurt.
Well, what I like about seeing Kelsey Grammer, right? Because Cheers and he was really big. So I feel it's a true cameo, right? He's there. We see his face. That's all we get. And I'm totally fine with that. He has come to Star Trek Las Vegas, and that was very interesting. But to see him in the Monster Maroons, and then you're like, oh my, how long has he been in this? Because we had just found out that we had lost 17 and a half days. So then to see him in a completely different uniform, throwback to original series was, sucker punch at the end.
Well, he says it's 2278, and this would have been about 2369. So no, but basically 100 years, Amy, is to your 90, point.
90 years. 90.
See,
there's your math moment, Amy.
There's your math moment. See, I'm giving math, and you're.
Oh.
I love when they talk about Cheers being on the sets next door. They often used to talk about how there was no catering budget for TNG. So because Cheers was such a big show by that point, all the actors used to sneak into the Cheers set and steal the food from the buffet, from their crafts, because they didn't get any of their own. So that I love little stories like that. Okay, so shall we have a look at some assimilations and regenerations for this episode? It was hard for me to get down on paper a few assimilations because I just love everything about it. And I've already kind of said why I think it's a perfect episode. So just kind of, building on what I said about Frakes directing, I think one of the parts of the episode where it particularly stands out each time through the time loop where it's a little different is the bit where after the nacelle is hit by the Bozeman and the ship goes into free fall, there's one pass where you see an external shot of the Enterprise doing a 360, and then there's one where you just see Riker fall over from when he stood next to Data. That's what happens when you stand on one foot on the bridge. And then there's a random shot as well where it just shows the view screen shaking, like with nothing else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool.
I also like when they're showing it they're showing that the ship is spiraling out of control on the view screen and that toward the later shot. I would say for me, and we talked about a little bit, like as this being a Beverly episode, first off, I think Gates McFadden looks amazing in this episode. The way I liked how they started messing with her hair by this season and started getting a little more adventure. Well, it is a wig, but at least they started doing different stuff. But she just looks gorgeous. But I love that we see Beverly more as a scientist in this episode, not just being the doctor. Of course, she's doctoring through Geordi's thing, but she's just contributing as a competent crew member, which is, like I said, something she has underplayed earlier in earlier seasons. So I just like that this is how, like I said, very much like The Chase. It doesn't have to be a Beverly episode, but just show her just being in there with the rest of the crew contributing.
She still has time to drink a glass of champagne and trim her bush.
I think that with Grand Marnier.
Oh my Lord.
I can hear that the song that Beverly's humming when she's doing it. I can hear it now in my head. It's so bizarre that I've not even done a rewatch for this week. It's just there. It plays rent free in my head.
Some of the choices by Jonathan Frakes, like especially like the poker table moments, but then again when they're in engineering and you're just hearing Dr. Beverly Crusher's voice talking about what the voice she heard and that kind of thing, and then all of a sudden you do hear the sound of the flute. It's like these directorial choices really make the episode special. And it shows the attention to detail and the thought and the care that went into bringing this to fruition.
And one thing that I absolutely love about this episode is it is the best discussion on fate, destiny versus free will and choice. Like every single time Beverly's, champagne glass breaks. Is that destined to happen? Do we not have a choice? She literally places it on a different table so as to not break it, but it still breaks. So does that mean we don't have a choice in this world? Like it is the best discussion. I love it. I mean, and it's so amazingly great for like a loop and time crazy. But like that is one thing that I love and just discussing ad nauseum.
It's going to happen anyway.
There's that movie series, Final Destination, and it's kind of the same concept you're talking about there, where like these kids were all supposed to be on this plane that blew up, but something happened at the last minute and they didn't get on. They got off the plane, and then they all start dying one by one in freak accidents, and it's kind of like this. The universe setting itself right kind of idea.
It's the basis of you can't cheat fate or cheat death, I suppose.
One way or another.
I mean, and with Geordi's phaser going out, then that reminds me of phase shift, like Ro and Geordi, being not falling through the floors, but or it also reminds me of parallels, like how they're just traveling. And I'm like, if you combine those two, where do we sit with free will versus fate? Like, this is a fabulous discussion.
I love it. It's good pick. Good pick.
Mark, you were mentioning earlier about, Captain Bateson, and what a shame we didn't see him more. And Christos, you mentioned the book. For anybody interested, the book is called A Ship of the Line, and it's set just before First Contact. So it's all about the story of the Enterprise E being built, and Captain Bateson is involved in the construction of the Enterprise E. So if anyone wants to go back and read that, it is available. But there's a scene in All Good Things where they're on the edge of the neutral zone, and they say, ships on the Romulan side, ships on our side, and they say the Concorde and the Bozeman are on our side, and Riker says, "Oh, a face-off. Who's going to go first?" And Picard's, "We are." But I'm wondering, is that the Bozeman from this episode? So has the ship been kind of retrofitted, brought back into active service, or did they make a new Bozeman A? Who is it?
Wasn't the Bozeman mentioned and Best of Both Worlds? It's mentioned in another episode as part of a battle group besides that. But
it was the Kyushu, the Melbourne, and the Tolstoy. They were the 3 ships from Best of Both Worlds.
I would think, because they do make the point that they've been out of service for a really long time. And so I would imagine maybe there was probably more ships christened the Bozeman already. There's probably another Bozeman already running around at the time this episode happened. So maybe it's in the Fleet Museum just on the far side, and we just didn't see it.
It looked like the set of the Stargazer. That's what I was thinking of when I was like, oh, they repurposed that set.
Well, those are all movie sets.
The Okudas roll their eyes, say, "Oh, get the old Okudagrams out."
Yeah, one more that I noticed only after covering Joe Manoski episode where we talked about 47 and why that came to be. The mathematical justification shows up here when Data's like, "I've been running into the number 3 an inordinate amount of time." That's because he knows the probability of numbers showing up randomly, and when they show up more frequently, hence why we have our 47 reference. I was just like, oh, it's like come full circle. And Joe Manoski is co-producer on this episode as well.
Yeah. So slightly off topic, but completely on topic. I've come across 47 personally several times this last week, including being given my ticket to go for my food, and I'm waiting. It's 47. And
oh my gosh.
2 or 3 times something like that's happened to me. And I just wonder that, I'm going to be 47 next year. I don't know if I'm starting to have my 47. It's starting to become a thing. This is where I become a cemented in Star Trek legacy, because I made it to 47.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, have you shouted computer and program just in case you're on the holodeck?
Oh. Yeah.
Kelvin, you'll have to find a reason to come to Star Trek Las Vegas, because I will turn 47 at this year's Star Trek Las Vegas.
For my 47th year, that was the first year that I did all the Star Trek things. It was the cruise, the convention. So I sort of celebrated it. So celebrate big, Christos.
We will, Amy. You'll be there.
Okay.
Over to regenerations then, just sticking with the 47. I do feel that there was a wasted opportunity here, that they could have used 47 when Data says impact in 36 seconds. It's so minor, but to just have impact in 47 seconds would have been so much sweeter.
I mean, if that's the regenerations that we're pulling out of this episode, it's not. It's a pretty perfect episode. If that's all you got. I'm going to combine a trivia and a regeneration here, because we talked about Kelsey Grammer and Cheers and Next Door. It's well written. It's well known. I think we even talked about it, that Kirstie Alley was supposed to be in this episode as well as Saavik. And that's a major regeneration for me. I would have loved to have seen Kirstie Alley next to Kelsey Grammer, or next to Captain Bozeman as Saavik, and that would have been the final time we saw Saavik, and it would had gone full circle that she played it one more time.
I wouldn't have minded seeing Saavik, but to have Kirstie Alley and Kelsey Grammer, that would have been too bonk.
But they're on Cheers together. That's what makes it
I know,
perfect.
that's what makes
it
problematic.
I have to go with Christos.
Oh.
That would have been a chef's kiss. It would have been such a shoehorned, in your face, fan service bullshit.
Well,
but
everyone
it
has
would have
seen
been amazing.
everyone has seen that meme that goes around that has Savick and Bozeman and Brent Spiner and Kate Mulgrew and all these Star Trek actors who guest starred or were on Cheers, and it says Cheers was really a holodeck simulation.
Mm.
So I'm like, that would have been perfect just to have them next to each other.
Robin Curtis probably wouldn't have enjoyed it just as much. Okay. Amy, now I think you're going to disapprove of this regeneration. The way we consume Star Trek, obviously, we're all over everywhere. We just choose the good ones when we want to. So even though it came 2 years after Pause and Effect, the line in All Good Things, where they're in the conference room, is spoken by Troy, and it's a complete copy of the line from Cause and Effect, where Picard says, "We can't afford to start second guessing ourselves. We'll stay on this course until we have reason to change it." Deanna literally says that line in All Good Things. And whenever I hear it, I just go, "Oh, Deanna, where have we heard this before?"
That's because they don't know how to write her. They just, she's there as a warning beacon. We must get out of here now.
Poor
One
Troy.
thing that I just noticed again on this rewatch, it goes between, right, their 7 a.m. discussion and then Beverly preparing to go to bed. Like those are sort of the two times, or like the downtime at the poker, where we're assuming that's after work, after duty. So you've got the morning and your evening. The entire ship, it just feels evening the entire time. And I know there's no sunlight in space. I get it. But the lighting, I just felt was a little off. I felt like every scene was, oh, I'm ready to go to bed. I don't know. The lighting should have been different.
I'm just going to say, I do like what you've said about the lighting. I'd never noticed that all the scenes took place during the night. I think it's on, is it Data's day when he takes command of the night shift and he says, "Begin night watch," and the lights come down on the bridge. That would have been nice.
Yeah, but by the time we're called onto the bridge, the temporal anomaly's been spotted and all that stuff. So now we're at a heightened sense of alert, and they would not be running in night mode, right? And I think Worf was on bridge watch during, because Worf is not in the conference room, right? He's on the bridge.
On the final run.
Yeah, in the final run. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, no, on the final run he is. I beg your pardon, because Ensign Rowe gets his line.
But so the bridge, the only times we see the bridge, we've already established that there's an anomaly off, out there. And so I would think whatever night mode is canceled, they're at alert now.
See, I noticed something while I was watching, and I don't know if anybody else caught this or not, but the particular model I think they used to blow up, it looked like the captain's yacht was missing. It sounds crazy. But if you pause it when they're doing like a flyby before it misses the Bozeman, there's, instead of it being a rounded bottom of the D, it's like divoted in, and it looks like the ship that's supposed to be in there, the captain's yacht, is gone. So I don't know. I just caught it and I was like, this is never explained.
Well, the model they blew up, I think, is at that time you can go to the hobby shop and buy these, Star Trek models. I used to put them together, and we used to also blow them up at 4th of July. So they probably didn't blow up one of their really nice 6-foot or 4-foot models. They had to blow up something else. Now, the funny thing about that was the captain's yacht you had to glue it in. So maybe they didn't glue it in. I don't know. It was something you could take out of that.
And it looked like that little hole was there. No, I had the model too, and there was a little piece of plastic that you kind of shove it into the bottom of the D to get it to stick in there with the glue. And it looked like the hole was there where that little piece is supposed to stick in. So that makes sense, Christos, if it was one of the
things that weren't supposed to be seen on a 70-inch television in high definition.
Right.
True. That it wasn't even a regeneration, it was just a notice.
Yeah.
It's a bit like it reminds me of the Voyager conspiracy, this of like 7 of 9 freezing the screen during the Caretaker's array exploding and going, "What is that, a tractor beam? What's that?" And Mark's now spawned a theory that the captain's yacht got away and it's now in a different reality somewhere flying off. It's escaped the loop. So yeah, well done. I love that.
There is a little regeneration I'll throw in. There is a little wire through the back of the Enterprise going up into the sail, and I think that was from the having the explode, the TNT, whatever they used to blow that stuff up is, I think that was part of the wire they used to blow it up. But it's like, oh, I kind of see that.
Okay. Answer me this. How many pips does Data wear?
2.5.
But there's 3 pips, yeah?
There's 3, but there's 2 and a black one. But you're right. It's 3.
Yeah.
Because the 3 pips thing, I thought of that last night too, Amy, on my rewatch. He's wearing 3 pips too.
Yeah.
Although
this
Rikers are
is
solid.
A simulation, but I noticed that purposefully the way that it was shot, and I guess what it was stage right, we'll say, from the actor's perspective, the camera stayed there for that whole end scene. Every single person was shot from that direction. They didn't move around. And I noticed that because in every scene where you saw any of the people on the bridge, you always saw the pips in this final scene. They made it a point. You would see Rolaire and you would see her 1 pip. You would go up to, Captain Picard and you would see his pips. And so they were all shot from that same direction. So the viewers would notice the pips. Again, everything was very purposeful in this episode. And I love that.
Yeah. I it's interesting that I feel the opposite, and this may just be the way I have my TV set up and always have, but the moment when Data turns his head and clocks the pips on Riker, it's so dark that I can't actually I know there's 3 pips there, but I can barely see them, so it must just be my TV settings, because
you need to adjust your colors. It's fine.
Yeah, they could have made that a lot more distinct. And why does everybody look like they're assimilated? Why is everybody grey? Maybe it's my TV. Okay.
And then just one last thing, again, with Riker standing over Data, his Riker maneuver, leg up, right? And shaking. Come on. You're not going to be in a shaking ship standing on 1 leg. Come on, Riker.
I mean, and that's obviously a director's choice where he was placed and how his leg was and everything. That was him calling the shots. Because I don't really think you ever see anyone ever put their foot on that. And I'm sure the prop people didn't like that very much either.
I love it. Okay, shall we have a look at some trivia for this episode?
Absolutely. Trivia. Brandon Braga described the cold open as the ultimate teaser, which showed the Enterprise being destroyed. Many TV stations received calls from confused viewers when the next scene saw the normal opening and captain's log, as though the show has been transmitted out of sequence. So that's kind of funny.
Braga was proud that he finally managed to get a poker game central to the show as a major plot point, not just a cute character development scene. I think it adds so much to the character, but now this is a plot point, so it's pretty creative.
Right, and we know, like I said, poker becomes that legacy. I think we first started in season 2 and goes all the way through the end of Picard. So, just those poker games are just kind of like a warm blanket that you just kind of like. Oh, they're playing poker in this episode. I love it.
Yeah.
What we mentioned a little. Yeah, well, no, I'll mention this next one because there is a little bit more here. So, listeners, we said Kelsey Grammer became the 3rd Cheers actress to enter the Star Trek universe. What we didn't mention earlier was that Bebe Neuwirth, who played Lilith on Frasier and Cheers, was in the episode First Contact from season 4. And like we said, Kirstie Alley was in Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, was supposed to have a cameo, and then of course, Kelsey Grammer became the 3rd after that.
And Bebe Neuwirth allows Riker to escape because they have a little interlude, and
had a Riker moment.
Yeah, that was hot.
Let's not forget that Morn on Deep Space Nine should be Norm from Cheers.
Yes. Oh, yeah, another Cheers reference. Yes,
man.
Okay, so the USS Bozeman was originally supposed to be a Constitution class vessel, not the Miranda variant, the Soyuz class. But when they started adding up the cost of all the uniforms, the props, the models, they couldn't afford it. So they went with just a kit-bashed Miranda and called it a Soyuz class.
And the decompression of the main shuttle bay external shot was the first time in TNG that this location was depicted. Now, the two shuttles, even though the lettering is too small, but you get these behind the scenes, books that we all love to get. The lettering on those shuttles were Berman and Piller, obviously a nod to executive producers Rick Berman and Michael Piller.
Yeah, I love that we finally see the main shuttle bay. I don't know, did we ever see it again? I mean,
I don't think so. No, all the
Yeah.
shuttle bay scenes. I mean, they're always so different, but they tend to be like the smallest shuttle bay 2 or 3 underneath.
Yeah, so you have to build such a large set.
Yeah, because it's huge. Imagine how big that main shuttle. Just think of the external door, and kind of place that against something like Voyager or the Defiant. That room would be massive.
Yeah.
Be the size of the Discovery.
I think the back, that's a good, that the back shuttle bay of Discovery is a big, I mean, it's a fake set mostly, but it would have to be something like that, if not bigger.
Okay, then final thoughts. I guess who did it better? So this is going to be interesting. What are we preferring, cause and effect, or our previous host choice, the chase? I guess we could also include, Amy, your host choice when we did unification as well. So
those are the three. All TNG
3
episodes, like we said last week.
Yeah, this is a closely run race. You know where my vote is. I'm voting for cause and effect.
Well, you know where mine is because I chose mine as my host choice. So
Now, Amy,
Mark.
You corrected me at the time to say unification isn't your favorite episode, but you wanted to choose it.
That's
to
correct.
Discuss.
Yes. So yeah, I totally forgot that we had already done my host choices unification. So kudos to you for remembering that. This is why I don't do well at trivia. I can't even remember the episodes I choose.
After we do Mark's, we'll restart the loop, so you can.
Yeah, there you go. The chase has so many wonderful, meaty things to talk about. But it's fate, destiny versus. I gotta go with that concept. Oh, it pains me because the chase unifying, we're all together. We're all. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I choose those two.
Mark, you're the decider.
This episode.
Yeah?
Hands down.
Yeah.
We have a draw. Yay.
This is one of my favorites. I just love this episode. It's great.
Yeah. No,
this is one that you can show to anyone that's not Star Trek. It's fun. You get enough character development that they're a crew. There's amazing things to discuss after watching it. Like it's really good.
I mean, at the end of the day, this episode is just very, very good, well-written science fiction. Mm-hmm. And you could write this story, like to your point, it could be your first time seeing Star Trek. It could be set in many other franchises. This episode just works, but the concept would work in a lot of other shows and whatnot. But it's great science fiction.
I mean, it's not the Elysian Kingdom, but it's good.
And it's not magic to make Danish man go bold, which was a copy of this episode on Discovery.
Oh Lord! I said Elysian Kingdom because I know it's very divisive among the fans. I love it, but I think a lot of people disagree with me.
I'd be keen to know if there are people out there who don't enjoy cause and effect. So I'm not baiting for an argument with people. I'm just keen to know, do you exist? So maybe drop a note in the comments on our social to say, I don't like this episode. That was why. We don't often ask for that, but it's so universally loved.
It regularly ranks in top TNG episode lists.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin. Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. If you're lost in the Delta Quadrant, check out The Captain's Couch, a Star Trek Voyager podcast hosted by Jeremiah sitting on Janeway's Ready Room couch. Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out, hosted by Mark, Matt, and Laz. Beam Aboard the Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Amy, Joe, Rhea, and Kevin. History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissie and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissie and Thad. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Union Federation, covering all things Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Star Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Spill the Tea with What's the Tea, Bev, a Trek current events and fan interview show hosted by Christos. And for our Patreon members, we have The Hive Mind, BQN's monthly roundtable discussion with hosts and listeners. It's Green, a cornucopia of topics hosted by Mark, and Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek, hosted by Amy. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Amy, we've had a whole lot of your recorded voice in this episode.
A whole, too much.
Right, Christos, take us away on shore leave. What's happening next week?
Well, listeners, your homework is going to watch DS9's He Who Is Without Sin. That's our shore leave part 4.
We would love to hear what you thought of today's episode and hope you'll join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, to continue our discussion there. You can also reach us at allgoodpod on Blue Sky. Please follow the network on Blue Sky and Instagram at BQN Podcasts. We've also partnered with our friends at the Fandom Podcast Network, where you can find us by searching the master feed. So, Christos, where can people find you when you're not telling everyone about the voices in your room, but nobody was there?
Well, you can find me on Facebook in the BQN Collective and on socials at Greek Geek SD. Pretty much everywhere but Twitter now. And Amy, where can people find you when you're not having your 5th Grand Marnier before bed?
I think I'll have that tonight. Thank you. You can find me here in the network where I'm co-hosting Union Federation. And not Galaxy Class, listeners. I know. If you listened to our last episode, we are passing it along to new hosts, Keith and Steven. So hope you'll listen there. But I still am in the BQN Collective, our Facebook group, and on that Twitter place at Miss Amy Nelson. And Mark, where can people find you when you aren't putting your dog in the next room so he's not joining us for our podcast?
He's actually very quiet. He podcasts with me on almost all of my shows. He's usually cuddled up next to my feet. So yeah, I'm very lucky. He's pretty good in the podcast booth. When I'm not doing that, you can find me on Cinema Z, my film discussion and review podcast I do with Matt Jennings and a smattering of guest hosts. We have an episode dropping this week as well. So when this episode comes out, our Dune episode will come out where we discuss pretty much all of the cinematic Dunes. So tune in for that. You can also find me in the BQN Collective Facebook group. and on Blue Sky at MW207. And Kelvin, where can people find you when you are not making my acting dreams come true by creating a beautiful script for us?
You can find me on the socials at Kelvin's Timeline or over on Facebook in our BQN Collective Facebook group.
Please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a star rating and a written review. That helps others to find the show. You can also follow the entire network's podcast with our master feed by searching BQN.
At this time, we would like to thank our associate producers, Mahendran Radhakrishnan and Tim Cooper. A special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music, and to our lovely Mark White for our artwork each and every week.
If you'd like to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you too can become a patron of the network on Patreon. We'll add you to the Hive Mind Facebook group so you can enjoy It's Green, Amy's Math Moments, and other network perks. With a monthly subscription of $5 or more, you can join our meetings on the Hive Mind Roundtable discussion on the second Saturday of each month. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details and watch your messages.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you'll join us
as we search out
all good things.